Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer. Fulfillment demand continues to skyrocket and outpace available labor. To keep up, warehouse operators are turning to flexible fulfillment solutions like 6 River Systems. Utilizing 6 River Systems' award-winning combination of collaborative robots, artificial intelligence, and operational expertise will make your associates and wall-to-wall fulfillment workflow more efficient. No new infrastructure, no change to warehouse layout, easy to deploy and scale, easy to train and retain associates, all at half the cost of traditional automation. Want to take your fulfillment operation to the next level? Go to www.6river.com to learn more. That's www.6river.com to learn more.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, coming to you with a new episode today. On today's episode, I am going to be joined by Rob Sullivan, who is the CEO of AutoGuide. Rob was recently on the show. We talked to him back at Modex, and he was on episode 105. We talked kind of about just what AutoGuide is about, getting a good sense for what their company is. They offer AMRs for high payload, and they offer some interesting inventory management systems as well built into that, and also work on some module type of setups for AMRs. So we are going to talk to him today about some new products that they just recently announced and came out with. So we'll be interested to hear about that and how it's kind of changing what the industry is doing a little bit. So Rob, welcome to the show. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me today.
Definitely happy to reconnect with you and talk to you again. I guess post-Modex in this crazy world. So I'm interested to hear, I guess give for those that maybe didn't hear episode 105 yet, give us just like a quick little overview of what AutoGuide is all about.
AutoGuide is an autonomous mobile robot company that does high payload robots. We do tuggers in the 10 to 15,000 pound range. We do autonomous fork trucks, car movers, and then we just released our autonomous storage retrieval system that utilizes not only our pallet stacker product that we previously introduced at ProMat, but also the high bay that we released a couple of weeks ago, which goes up to the first version that goes to 36 feet.
Right. And we'll get into those two things in a little bit, but let's talk a little bit about, so when we talked the last time, it was at Modex, right? And I think it was like the week before everything kind of just like went crazy, shut down.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I remember I was in the airport in Atlanta like on Thursday, and it came across the screen that, okay, Atlanta schools are shutting down. And I was like, okay, this is real. So I'm curious, since we talked at that point, there was some brewing of, change, but what has changed for the business for AutoGuide? What have you seen that's maybe a little different because of the pandemic, either positive or negative?
We made a big push into Europe. So Europe has, held up a little bit for us. We couldn't get people into country. Although right before the pandemic, I hired my lead of Europe, and we've signed up about 5 or 6 integrators since then. So they've helped us greatly. But definitely it slowed down our pace into Europe, just getting in there. But we're making some decent traction in Europe. It also slowed down right away. It slowed down. Our core was auto manufacturing, where a lot of our customers, the plants shut down for that 6 or 7 weeks. So that slowed down, but their capital budgets are starting to come back up again. Their teams, basically they shut down for that 5 or 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it was, came back, had to get the plants back up to fully operational, or maybe even more than operational. And then the capital budgets start kicking in and the projects start kicking in. So we're tracking back to that, but definitely COVID slowed us down during this time. Although, our factory kept going in Kentucky. We never stopped. Our R&D center kept going up in Massachusetts. And we also had products in the warehouse world we had to keep servicing. So in shipping to. So the warehouse part of our business stayed intact. The automotive and manufacturing definitely slowed down.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and happy to hear that you guys are still going, obviously, and coming out with new products as well. I'm curious, has there been any maybe interest that wasn't there before because people want to utilize your product to help with social distancing and also labor issues?
I don't. Absolutely right. So from a prospecting standpoint, from our initial context, we've never had so much initial context with our customers. Now these projects take a while to get going and all that, but definitely the same companies that we were working with and more companies now still have those same labor issues. And actually, you think about it even more than before, in that they had to shut the factories down. They couldn't keep the production going. So I think long-term, the long of automation, and especially what we're doing right now, is definitely an uptick.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to see how different technologies are being utilized now because of all the different restrictions and guidelines, and also issues with, like you said, with people being shut down and people getting sick and not being able to work. And those different types of things. So you mentioned, earlier in the show that we're talking about these 2 new products that you come out. So I want to talk first about the Mobile ASRS. So tell us, tell us a little bit for our listeners maybe that might not be so familiar of what an ASRS is. Tell us what a typical ASRS would be like, and then talk to us about how a mobile one is such a difference.
So I spent my last, since probably mid-90s, in developing and bringing out ASRSs started for me in the semiconductor space, where I was doing wafer box storage and retrieval. Okay. So, and then my company I co-founded, Symbotic, back in the late 2000s, we brought out case picking ASRS system, storage and retrieval system. But what we're talking about here is storage and retrieval of pallet size, right now at least, of pallet size containers. So in that world, normally you'd have crane systems that are going up and down aisles, okay? They're fixed crane systems that are up and down, going up and down aisles. And so when you want to retrieve a product, that crane goes, takes the product, brings it over to a conveyor, and then another crane in another aisle is going to get another one. Or there could be dual cranes in that. And so they're automated storage and retrieval systems. And so what we brought out, and you probably saw it when we talked about, and a lot of my customers were saying, looking at our software architecture where we had inventory manager in that architecture, and they're like, right. Why would a company like you, an AMR company that's towing and hauling and picking and placing, why would you have that in your product set? Well, it's in our product set because it's one of the key attributes of a mobile ASRS. We call it an autonomous mobile storage and retrieval system. So it's mobile, it's autonomous, and so we have cutting edge technology not only in our vehicle to understand where we are position wise, but also in our pick technology. So we started out, from an automotive doing tuggers, then we went to pallet stacking and automated autonomous fork trucks, and then we went to now ASRS, autonomous ASRS. And really, the autonomous part of the pick is we're using a sensor suite that utilizing our same technology that we had in pallet picking, but also now a different type of technology that we're utilizing, state of the art, that's seeing not only the pallet, but the payload on the pallet, the structure of the racking system, the products next to the left and to the right. So it's really a key part where if you're going to go pick a pallet or drop a pallet off, you've got to really know where you are and actually pick that pallet. It's a key factor to do autonomous storage and retrieval. So it's basically our technology from a sensing standpoint and our algorithms plus our software strategy that we put in place for storage and retrieval. Specifically, understanding where the payloads are, from an inventory manager standpoint. So one example is if I have 20 instances in a factory where there's 20, pallets out there, each one of them equal, I can go get the one that I need to get to with the most efficiency, less travel time, faster to get the product out the door. So
interesting. So I see that you're kind of building on technology that you had put in place, because I remember last time we had talked about, I guess, the visibility that the AMR has of the pallet, right? We talked about how it can recognize, I think, if the pallet is not stacked in a safe manner or something like that as well. So it sounds like you're kind of taking that visibility technology and then using it as it's going to the rack to locate what it actually needs to take. So I like how it's kind of building upon itself. I see the evolution going here. So it's pretty cool. So tell us.
I think that's really I think that's really critical to fully automate these warehouses, where you have to start with, if you can't do tugging really well, right? Understand how to do tugging, and then pallet stacking, then autonomous fork trucks, and then high bay. And as you progress down, you introduce new technologies and new algorithms and machine learning to actually make it work, right? And if you can see over time, hopefully, I don't know if we'll ever get to 100%, especially these distribution centers like you would in a semiconductor factory, but we'll get pretty high. And I think it's just building on success and moving on with technology.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah. And I think maybe one day we will get to that 100%. But I think it's good to see how we can make this, I guess, kind of easier for the person and just in general, and kind of taking these mundane tasks and then automating them. So it's pretty interesting. So talk to us a little bit. So the mobile ASRS, so it's something that's like pretty different for the industry. So the typical, like you're talking about, a crane system, usually from an infrastructure standpoint, it's a huge deployment, it's a build out, it's all these different things. So talk to us a little bit how the mobile version now will kind of help make a faster deployment, reduce costs overall. Tell us some of the benefits.
So traditional ASRS using cranes, for instance, you can either go rack supported building or you're going to build a new rack system. Okay, so basically you have to clear out your warehouse or build a new warehouse, build up a whole infrastructure in there, spend a lot of money. The $20 to $100 million it takes you over a year. From not only planning but execution of that system. With our system, what we're doing is keep your same rack structure. We don't have to put in any. This is what we talked about in the pallet stacking or picking and placing pallets, where we don't have to put any fiducials in. We don't have to put any jigs and fixtures in to align the pallets. So basically, you can utilize your same exact racking structure, so you don't have to go through that. So the implementation is a lot less costly and a lot faster to implement. Therefore, you get to your ROI a lot faster.
Definitely, yeah, and I think that's huge right there. I mean, I've worked in facility with the shuttle system, and it was a brand new facility. We had to put it in, and it was a big undertaking, big deployment to get it all set up and finally get it working the way it needs to do. So being able to kind of just place basically your machine in instead of having to redo and like you said, designate a certain area of the facility or clear out a certain area or do a whole new facility, I think is a huge factor. And I imagine in terms of overall maintenance as well, the maintenance must be reduced then as well, because it seems like it would be less moving parts maybe.
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Absolutely not less moving parts, but also you can keep, so for instance, if you're doing maintenance on a mobile robot, you can put another one in, right? And keep your 100% efficiency going. Where a crane system, you have to take that crane down, you lose that entire aisle. Really what they have to do is, clear out all those payloads, which you probably, stacked at 90% anyway. So where are you going to put all of them? And so from a maintenance standpoint, it's much better. But also, they can start off with tugging, right? So we map, we're going into a 1 million square foot warehouse, and we map the entire area so our tuggers can go any place, kind of like the ones that are behind me in my picture here. So you map the entire area. Then you introduce pallet stacking into your, to pull the payloads from the docks and go onto the tuggers into your warehouse or within your warehouse. Then you're using, manual high bays to put it away. Then you introduce high bay in Mobile ASRS, and basically by introducing those new products, you don't have to remap the system. So all you're doing is introducing the product in. So you can step through if you want to start small, or you want to start with, say you want to start your slow movers, or your slow movers, your fast movers, or whatever. You can start off small and start growing from this, and you don't have to remap your facility. So, and that's the key of our modular technology, in that it's the same base unit, it's the same LiDAR sensors we're using for a location. So when you put another vehicle in, whether it's a tugger, a high bay, a pallet stacker, it's all going by the same reference points. So that's really key to top building. So you don't have to go in and make the $100 million bet. You can start off small and grow over time. So it's a huge advantage to the customer.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely a big advantage there. And I think that's, so going from the tugger to the high bay, and that's part of your modular system as well, right? You can use the same platform and add on what you want, right?
Right. And for that platform standpoint, it's the same exact technology we're using for tugger, pallet stacker, car movers, same exact technology from XY coordinate system. Now, on the high bay, we did put a new sensor suite in to understand more, understand the entire payload, the entire racking system, understand where we are exactly. And that's a key enabler to make that happen. Where you see some other systems where they're automated, right? They go to a teach point. You did shuttle systems, and from that standpoint, a lot of these systems are taught, right? You have to have fixtures or teach the point. They're not autonomously going in and picking the pallet, understanding where it is and what the environment is. So that's the big difference. Where to solve the problem, you really have to get to that level.
Yes, definitely. So tell us a little bit about now. So we talked about the Mobile ASRS, and now the second announcement, right, was the Max N High Bay pallet mover, right? So tell us a little bit about that, and then talk to us about how, because it goes fairly high, which I think is not necessarily the standard for the industry, right? So it's a little different. And then how does that kind of work in partnership with the Mobile ASRS? So
the high bay is 36 feet. I picked 36 feet because at least the data I had was 95% of the warehouses in North America were less than 40 feet. So to pick fully to the top rack, you need a 36 footer. So we said, we'll come out with a 36 foot high bay right away. And so what we did there, if you looked at it from a building block standpoint, we had the pallet stacker at 5 feet. You pull that module out, bring a 36 foot module in. And the only other change there, really significant change, was putting a new sensor suite in, an add-on sensor suite to understand where the vehicle is picking a pallet. When we pick a pallet from the floor with our pallet stacker, we're looking at that. It could be skewed, it could be off. We're looking at that coming in. And I think you probably saw that at the show when you were at the Modex show, our videos, where we come in, we square up, we understand where that face is, and we get the pallet. we're doing the same thing right now for high bay. When we come up, say we're going up, 30 feet. We're going up 30 feet in the air. We come in. We're understanding where that is, understanding where the pockets of the pallet are, and we're coming in, squaring ourselves up, and coming in and getting it, and understanding what's next to us, left to the right, where the rack is. So we're not teaching it. So if you look at, say the shelf was at 30 feet, I'll make that up. Okay. We're not saying there's a 30-foot shelf. We're going up. We know we're going around roughly 30 feet. We go up. Oh, there's the pallet. And then we look at from the Z standpoint. We say, okay, well, here I am, and I'm going to go get it.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. I think that it's really cool that you went right for the 36 feet, because I think, like you said, most warehouses now, especially new ones, as they're building, they're getting taller. They want to utilize that overhead space and do that. And I remember at ProMat in, what is it? I'm forgetting years now because we've been on lockdowns for so long. It's all a blur, right? But in 2019, yes, at ProMat, I remember talking to one, and they're like, well, we can get up to maybe like the third level of racking now, and we're hoping we can get to the fourth like in a year or something. And so it's kind of like, well, I guess that's kind of useful, but if I need to go all the way up, how I gotta go back to non-automated. So it's really, really cool that you guys are tackling that and doing it now successfully. So talk to us a little bit about, I guess, how the max and high bay pallet mover, right? So how easy is that for setup? Is that just like kind of plug it in and let's go? Or how is the overall deployment of that? Is it the same as the Mobile ASRS?
Yeah, it's the same deployment, exactly what we're using today. And, and also we can use the Mobile ASRS for, P&D type stations where pick up and drop off locations. If you want to have a micro storage, whip area, you can do that too. So from our standpoint of setting the waypoints and all that, there's really no difference other than, I have a waypoint to pick, say it's at location, aisle 1, location 1. I'm going to have, 3 more on top of that. So now we're aware that, hey, there's 3 more on top of that. But also, I'm aware of that array of storage, but I'm also aware when I put it away, I know exactly where it is. And then I'm storing that. Customers can choose whether, hey, some customers don't have an inventory management system. They use manual processes today to understand, and they lose WIP, right? They lose product. They don't know where it is. We can then take that over and say, hey, we'll be your truth, right, where your product is. Or if their ERP systems or the WMS systems have that capability and they want to keep that, we can do a handshake with them, say, hey, here's where the product, we put the product here, here's the info. And then in that case, we're inventory aware. And so we still have that same utilization of, get to the best product first, right? Or if there's an issue someplace, we can go around it, right, and run around. So as long as we're inventory aware, it's really key. But some places don't have good inventory manager, automated inventory manager. So I think that helps out a lot with those customers.
Definitely, yeah. And I'm an inventory control guy myself by background and experience. So actually curious, obviously when the machine is taking the pallet and putting it in the location, it's recognizing what's there and it's recording that data. But you also talked about, so it has visibility to what's next to it, to the left and the right, maybe above, below. Is there anything happening, or if it's not happening now, plans to kind of capture data of what is in the locations around it and then be able to utilize that as like a cycle count?
Well, I don't want to steal my new press release at some point, but yeah, we can see the entire payload, right? And so therefore, if I can see for instance, right, if the payload is a certain tie high, right, and I'm looking at that, and it's when I get the LPN data, right, it's saying to me, hey, this is X tie high, and it should be, by that tie high, I know it's going to be 50 inches tall, making it up. Well, if I know that, right, and I know what the width is, I should know what the cycle count is of it.
Okay.
And I can say, yes, it's valid. It's there. I know what I put in there. I know what the LPN was. It is. So you don't have to go and cycle count that. That's a big savings, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I know there's some automated cycle counting things going on with drones and things of that nature. And I think one of the, I was in workshop, actually, inventory control workshop a couple years ago, and one of the questions that had come up was like, if you're using one of the crane or shuttle systems that we were talking about previously, non-mobile, right? How do you get access in there to confirm that the inventory is correct? Like, how would you do something like that? And so everybody had these different brainstorms and ideas, but so it's interesting that I like the mobile because obviously it has the inventory management on board and you can utilize that, but it also, I think, would still allow you access to your racking and things if you did need to go in and verify something as well, correct?
Yeah, you could scan if you wanted to and say, okay, here's it is there. You can verify from that standpoint. You could actually, on not that many of these places have downshifts, but you can run it around in cycle count if you really wanted to, just like the manual operations do.
All right, very interesting, really cool. My inventory nerd side is liking that. So.
Well, I come from a world where, in semiconductor, we were holding, 60,000 multi-million-dollar boxes of, we had to know exactly where those payloads were, and those boxes of wafers. And then I went to a world where we were holding millions of cases, and we had to know where those cases were. So myself and the head of software and head of hardware, we understand inventory manager in this world extremely well. Definitely.
I see that, and it shows in the product. So one thing I noticed too in the press release as I was reading through it about these two announcements. So you mentioned that they're built from the ground up to be robots, basically, instead of a retrofit, which many other companies are doing. They're using like a base forklift version and then adding the automation from, I think it mentions different vendors. They're putting in the parts on there. So how does that kind of make a difference, you think, in the quality and just the overall product itself?
Well, we have an older product called the ITM5K that utilizes a kit. We put we take a tugger, we put onto a kit, a line guided kit. It's our AGV product, and it's not purposely designed. So, and you can't control the releases of that, right? It's never been designed to be a robot. Okay, so we knew the issues there doing that, and so we thought and I think we rightly thought that, hey, we should make this like a robot, like a UR robot, where you put different end effectors and grippers on. Can you imagine taking just a manual, or I can't even think of an analogy of take a manual robot or something, something that's in that space and try to, strap on a kit onto that to make it into something you want. It's never optimal. It's never been designed for that purpose. And we've seen that in our older products. So we designed it ground up, and it basically, we knew we were going to be in, auto manufacturing, distribution, e-commerce. So to be able to scale that and to be able to bring the right solutions out, the module platform was key to us, especially as we went from tugger to pallet stacker to high bay and car movers and whatever else the integrator wants to do. They can develop. We have a video on our site where one of our integrators developed a engine mover with it. So they take our base vehicle, exactly the way it is, and you can plug in a custom adapter to it, which is just like you would with a UR robot with an end effector or gripper.
Very interesting. Yeah. I talked to UR on the show before, and we talked all about how there's that different kind of, almost like similar to the Apple App Store, right, where people can create these different attachments and things. So it's interesting to hear that is being utilized as well on your side too. So I'm curious now. We talked a little bit about with the latest, I guess, these two products, right? So before we wrap up here, what's the next wave for AutoGuide? What's next in the future, if you can share that?
I think people's, a lot of the interviews I have, they ask me, hey, you're going to do truck loading, unloading, and they say, well, some people are going right for that right away. And I say, if you want to, I don't know in distribution, again, in distribution e-commerce, whether you can never be 100%, automated or, automated for those facilities. But to get to that, to get to truck loading, unloading, to get, expand this even more, you had to have done tugger as well, pallet stack as well, high bay as well, as you progress the technology. So our progression will be in the high payload, and we'll keep extending our product line to someday, get to, 98%, 95%, especially moving the large payloads in these facilities.
All right, interesting stuff. Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see the continued evolution of you guys. So I'm happy we could check in again, and hopefully we'll check in again next year sometime and see what's happening then. So, Rob, how can people find out more information about AutoGuide?
You can go to our website at agmobilerobots.com and check out all our videos and everything we have online, or go on our LinkedIn or our Facebook, our Twitter, and we have a lot of information coming out on our product lines and what we're doing with different customers.
All right, very cool. We'll put all that information on thenewwarehouse.com. So, Rob, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.